Call the City Council meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Brian, would you start us off?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Bean, would you start us off with prayer?
Thank you. If you would, please join with me as we pray the prayer that Jesus taught his disciples. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor. Nina, would you please do the roll call?
Councilperson Alvarez?
Here.
Councilperson Pogorski?
Here.
Councilperson Geisers?
Here.
Councilperson Clem? Councilperson Williams?
Here.
Councilperson Gully?
Here.
Councilperson Zilli?
Here.
We have the approval of the minutes from October 5th.
Can we do all of them together?
You can. Are you asking me or the
Yeah,
mayor?
I'm asking you.
Legally, you can. Yes.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from October 5th, October 19th, and October 26th.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Did everybody get a chance to read those? And if so, are there any changes, discussion, anything? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have communications, correspondence, and announcements from the mayor. We have 2 proclamations tonight. Scott, would you please read the first one?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. It's the City of Portage, Office of the Mayor, Portage, Indiana, proclamation. To all whom these presents may come, greetings. Whereas, the government of Portage, Indiana celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. And whereas, according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are 31.7 million small businesses in the United States. They represent 99.7% of firms with paid employees. And they are responsible for 65.1% of the net new jobs created from 2000 to 2019. And whereas small business employ 47.1% of the employees in the private sector in the United States. 88% of U.S. consumers feel a personal commitment to support small businesses in the wake of the pandemic, and 92% of small business owners have pivoted the way they do business to stay open during the pandemic. And whereas 97% of small business Saturday shoppers recognize the impact they can make by shopping small. 85% of them also encourage friends and family to do so too. And whereas 56% of shoppers reported they shopped online with a small business on Small Business Saturday in 2020. And more than 50% of consumers who reported shopping small endorsed a local business on social media or shopped at a local business because of a social media recommendation. And whereas Portage, Indiana supports our local businesses that creates jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities. And whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Therefore, I, Sue L. Lynch, Mayor of the City of Portage, do hereby proclaim Saturday, November 27th, 2021 as Small Business Saturday. In the City of Portage, and urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the great seal of the City of Portage in the state of Indiana, the 2nd day of November, 2021. So it's great that we should encourage and all of us support small businesses. As you read, there'll be a quiz afterwards on all those statistics. But seriously, small businesses are the backbone of our economy. And if you can, and if you have that option, please give them strong consideration. Thank you.
Yes, please. Thank you, Scott. And Scott is a small business owner himself, so that's why he read that. So we encourage you. The holidays are coming. I know sometimes we don't have the biggest selection here, but please try to shop local and support our businesses. They've had a tough couple of years, too. We have another ordinance. Gina, would you please read that proclamation?
Sure. The City of Portage, Office of the Mayor, Portage, Indiana, proclamation to all whom these presents may come, greetings. Whereas the health of our community's people is the foundation for caring and productivity society, and our future rests on our availability to adequately treat and ultimately find cures for individuals who are afflicted with a variety of illnesses, including pulmonary hypertension. And whereas pulmonary hypertension, PH, is a chronic, life-threatening lung disease marked by elevated blood pressures in the lungs, And whereas without treatment, PH patients live an average of 2.8 years past diagnosis. And where multiple treatments are available for PH, but it takes patients an average of nearly 3 years to become accurately diagnosed. This delay in diagnosis has not been changed in the past 20 years. And whereas PH patients who are diagnosed earlier have a longer life expectancy. And whereas education can help with the early diagnosis and funding for research can help find a cure. And whereas the Pulmonary Hypertension Association is a nonprofit organization that seeks ways to prevent and cure pulmonary hypertension and to provide hope for the PH community through support, education, advocacy, and awareness. Therefore, I, Sue Lynch, Mayor of the City of Portage, do hereby proclaim the month of November 2021 to be Pulmonary Hypertension Awareness Month in the City of Portage, and I urge all citizens to recognize the seriousness of this disease and the meritorious work of the Pulmonary Hypertension Association to find a cure. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed with the great seal of the City of Portage in the state of Indiana on the 2nd day of November 2021.
So there was a lady who presented this information to us, and sadly she has pulmonary hypertension and was hospitalized today, so she was not here to receive this. So think of her, and just think of Gina as she tends patients there at the
I've
hospital.
seen it many,
So
many times.
that's why Gina is reading this tonight. So I'm sure that, do you have anything you want to say about that, Gina?
My heart goes to everyone through this COVID and how it's affected everybody, you know, in many ways.
Thank you. So, pardon?
That's right.
Yeah. We have the swearing in of 2 new police officers, I believe. So if they would please come forward, and the council is going to come up here as well. Okay, council. We'll do one at a time.
People are going to stay in town for the bankruptcy.
Right. These commercials are annoying.
I know, but
The frame just,
I'm going to go into a tear.
really?
Bad. He's a weird son.
He looks weird. I like that
So
one.
Paul, if you step over here by me, we'll do you
We're going
first.
to anyway with my kids.
Do you have family? Do you have a Bible? What does it hold? Would you like a family to come up here? Family, this is a big moment.
Thank you.
Okay, so please raise your right hand and state after me. I, Paul J. Shane, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, the Constitution and the laws of the state of Indiana, and that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties of my office as a member of the City of Portage Police Department to the best of my ability and according to the law, so help me God. Go ahead. You can take pictures.
My keyboard's so different from my keyboard.
Yeah.
Little things, so
It's the little things.
but it's messing up all my words.
Yeah. The bouncer. Yeah, 'cause he struggled there for a long time. So that's bad for sure.
Yep. It's a nice guy. I mean,
He's a nice guy.
yeah,
He's a nice guy.
it doesn't mean any harm.
Couldn't hear me before? Hi, David. So this is going to be a trick. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, David A. Harrod, Jr. Do solemnly swear and that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, the Constitution and the laws of the state of Indiana, and that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties of my office as a member of the City of Portage Police Department to the best of my ability and according to the law. So help me God. Thank you.
Are you the mayor?
Okay, we have the clerk treasurer's report next.
I don't have anything today. I will give finance reports into Dropbox after we close out the month.
Okay, we have reports from standing committees.
Yes, the ordinance committee met today. We did not meet last month. We did a quick review of the vacation insurance ordinances that will be addressed in their second reading in today's meeting, and we'll comment about those during the second reading. AJ Monroe attended our meeting, and we discussed the sidewalk repair program and some of the history and how we're going to move forward. The committee made a decision to repeal the existing ordinance, and I think that's on the agenda, correct, Colin?
Correct, for December.
For December. That'll be brought up in our December meeting. The existing ordinance really does not meet the spirit of the community and of the city, so we're going to be rewriting that ordinance and moving forward with that program. One of the things that we have to do, and the budget committee will address this, is to identify some dollars for that program, so we'll be looking at that process as we're updating the ordinance. There were two items on the agenda that are still unfinished that we have to spend some more time with. One of them is the mobile food vendor. It's not a high priority because of the weather and so forth. We won't be have the demand for food vendors as we typically have in the summer and spring and fall months. So we will have that ordinance in place for the council's recommendation early spring. And then contractor permits and utility bill payments, I want to revisit that with Clerk Treasurer Rivas so we can get the right language that needs to be implemented in that ordinance. So I think, is that about it, Deb? Did we cover everything? Thank you for your participation as always. So the ordinance committee continues to meet at 5 p.m. prior to each council meeting. So I remind the council members if there's anything that or department heads that they want brought up for our committee to address, we'd be glad to get it on the agenda. That's my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any questions by council members? If not, Deb, do you have a budget report?
You know, we just passed it. And
Okay.
we're good for right now.
Okay, great.
9 months off.
We have, we have no unfinished business. We have reports from city officials, and starting with AJ, because he's the first letter of the alphabet. We'll start you out, AJ.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Councilman. It's great to see you this evening. A couple days ago, the department did distribute our report for the month of October. As you have seen, whether it's this last month or we keep busy, there's a lot going on, a lot of projects that are coming toward a conclusion as we make our way to the end of 2021. A lot of work in the neighborhood near Myers Elementary School in terms of ongoing construction work. Again, we're dodging and ducking the weather right now. We're going to be able to complete a few projects, the roads that are currently opened up. It looks like we're going to have to make a decision to hold off on a few streets until 2022 because of the pending inclement weather. So we've communicated a little bit of that in our staff report for our work and what we'll be doing next year. The City Hall project continues to move at a very rapid pace. Our general contractor, Gary Up Construction, is doing a really great job, very communicative in the process. We do not believe that we're running into any scheduling concerns, which is great, and their work continues. Again, it's so hard to put together and report all that's happened in a period of time, and would just ask you and encourage you to stop by City Hall and take a look at what's going on. I think even to date that you'll see a wonderful transformation as to what it was and what it's going to become in the near future. We work and continue to work on a lot of the federal aid projects that we've been working on for some time, including Central Avenue West, the next segment of the Marquette Greenway Trail through the National Park, and the Willow Creek Chrisman Road Bypass project. Again, all of those projects are on the same track and schedule for what's been previously reported. Work is ongoing at Founders Square. Really, they got to it. I believe I reported previously that there was a little bit of a delay in their construction because there was some scheduling concerns about the delivery of concrete precast structures, and so they wanted to delay the project start because of that. However, that stuff has subsequently been delivered, and work is moving at a good clip. Continuing to work with the Redevelopment Commission, looking at their 2022 budget, working with the Commission's financial advisor on really gaining a solid understanding of the allocation area in the years to come so that we can project and do a little bit more long-term planning as it comes to the Redevelopment Commission and their ongoing support of all the things that are taking place here in the city. We've completed the evaluation of our pavement throughout the city of Portage. That report has been submitted. We'll soon be, we're in the process of then developing our list for 2022. Again, using that report as a basis to the recommendations that will be put forward. We keep busy at the city boards and commissions. You'll have a couple items for your consideration this evening, a couple change of zoning requests, one north of 20, one south of Loop Road. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. And again, a lot of work continues at the Redevelopment Commission. I'll pause at this point and ask if you have any questions of me.
AJ, are we going to be in City Hall in January?
That's still possible.
You asked the contractor, they say yes.
I did. Yes, the general contractor is doing a heck of a job. They will say yes because you're the one who asked them. But again, they're on schedule. They're working. Yeah, I hate to pin down, oh, it's going to be ready, but they're doing all they can, and there's been no delay in their work effort. There's no question about the quality, and I know that they understand that that's out there, and they're doing their level best.
I think we may not have any chairs to sit on or desks because the furniture is 15 weeks out right now. We're doing our best to push them along.
It'll be nice when it's done.
It will be.
It'll be worth the wait.
It's exciting.
Good job, AJ.
Thank you.
As always.
Thanks, AJ.
Thanks, AJ.
Fire Chief Wilkening. I just want to give our fire department a huge round of applause for that wonderful pumpkin display they had at our Light Up the Gourds. It was totally awesome. It was a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, our two administrative assistants were the masterminds behind that. They did an awesome job. So
It was great.
good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So for the month of October, as far as our call volume goes, we had 529 total calls. 366 of them were EMS, 14 were fire calls. That compared to October of last year, we had 459 total. That brings our total calls to date is 5,031 calls. 3,613 are EMS, 126 are fire calls. Last year we were at 4,205 total calls with 3,101 EMS and 77 fire calls. So we're up 826 calls so far for the year. We also had mutual aid departments come into the city 32 times last month. 4 of those were for fire responses. And then we also found time to do over 700 hours of training. So all the firefighters did an excellent job this past month, especially with all the Halloween activities and everything that was going on. I'll get to that in a minute. As far as our personnel goes, we're processing 2 new hires. They finished all of their testing and everything and passed, and they should be starting in the next week. We also did have 1 firefighter resign, and we did go to the list and get the next person available, and they're scheduled to get their physical done and start the processing. We did fire prevention last month. We did a total of all 8 elementary schools in the city, and we also did 2 preschools. So Chief Kender and the staff did a really good job of teaching the kids about fire safety.
Great.
Our COVID efforts, our Assistant Chief Kodacek, he set up the county health department to give the booster vaccines and flu shots to the public safety department. So we ended up, they gave shots to 54 police and fire personnel over a 2-day period. So that's vaccine boosters and the flu shots combined. Also, I did send an email to all of you. We're still waiting a decision on as far as COVID days for the people who get the COVID shots with side effects and everything. So we have I know some of the other departments have questions too, so we really need an answer on that. So because we've had a couple of situations. So we did get our official denial letter for the Assistance to Firefighter grant. Assistant Chief DeYoung did call. He was on a webinar actually today, and they explained
it was for the people who didn't get them. And so they gave a number on who to call so we could find out exactly why we didn't get it, what we were short on. And I find it humorous, but as far as our category goes, they said that our call volume wasn't high enough.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was, we were put in a different category. So the new grant starts in a few weeks. So we're working on redoing that, and supposedly those numbers are supposed to be changed and not hold as much weight. So they said we should be in decent shape. So hopefully this next grant process should be beneficial to us.
And when is that, Randy?
They start taking them in like next month. Okay. So we'll be working on it, and I'll bring everything what we want to try to accomplish to the council then. Our dive team, they've been real busy trying to winterize everything. They did want me to pass along a special thank you to Randy, you and the street department staff. They had to get the jet ski dock out, and the street department was instrumental in coming and helping them remove it and getting that out. So they wanted me to express a special thank you to the street department for all the help that they did. As I mentioned, the Halloween events, we did quite a few. We had a lot of trunk or treats that we were requested for. We tried to accommodate as many as possible. I do want to give a special thank you to Castle Subaru. They were kind enough to donate a whole bunch of candy. If you saw the pictures on our site, they had a car. They brought us a car, and it was just full of candy.
That's awesome.
That's great.
So we did. That was quite beneficial. I was also beneficial in Halloween night. All of our staff went out and in the vehicles and patrolled the neighborhoods, make sure everybody was safe. They handed out glow sticks and also candy. So they had some really good interaction with the kids, and it seemed like everybody had fun. So they did an excellent job at that. And again, like I said, our administrative assistants, Renee Akers and Julie Thomas, they did a phenomenal job on our display for lighting up the gourds.
It was beautiful.
So, and all of the help that we had with all of our staff and setting up, taking down. So it was a really good event, and I think a lot of people had fun doing it. And the last thing I want to bring up is on Friday night, we did have a fire call at one of the apartment buildings, and it was pretty much a hidden fire. And I just want to congratulate our crews for the excellent work that they did. They were very methodical. We actually got a letter that I sent you from one of the residents on how they evacuated the place, made sure everybody was safe and warm, and then they methodically went through. It was 4 big units that's 3 floors, so they had to cover a lot of ground, and they were so methodical that they finally found it and actually saved that building, because if it wasn't for their hard work and searching for it, that fire could have got up into the chase because it was behind a wall, and we could have lost that whole building, and a lot of people would have been displaced.
Good job.
So,
great job.
Thank you.
Good job.
and that's all I have. Any questions?
Thanks for a great job.
It was them.
Great job, team.
Good job.
Chief Candiano.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. I do not have a whole lot today because it's kind of hard to top a swearing in. So pretty excited to have 2 new officers. Very excited about that. So I'll get through my stuff, but I think that's probably the highlight of what I'm going to talk about. So incidents for October, 2,991 total incidents. It's an average of 96 a day. I think it's a couple down from last month. So as the weather changes, and hopefully we'll start to slow down a little bit. Year-to-date, our total incidents are 30,315. So just a little recap of Halloween. We added 4 officers to the patrol shift last night, which brought us to 10 working, and we also had assistance from the reserve unit, led by Captain Seagard. I always like to get the chance to thank them, because again, they're coming out for free, they're not being paid, they're spending their Halloween out with our full-time officers. So thank you guys for all you do again. We were pretty busy last night. We responded to 97 incidents yesterday. Fortunately, there were a couple incidents that required some arrests. There may have been 1 or 2 that made the paper today, but pretty happy that all in all, we accomplished our goal, which was to make it a safe night for all the families that were out there, and I believe it was, so very happy about that. So for the weekend, overall, we responded to 312 incidents, but again, it's usually a busy weekend for us with parties and different things that are going on, and for the most part, I think everybody came out of it pretty decent. So thanks to our officers that worked this weekend. Our hiring, obviously, we had 2 new officers that were sworn in tonight. They started yesterday. Both are from Portage. One of them already has the police academy. It's coming to us from another department. So he'll be kind of fast-tracked for the training, does not need to go to the academy, things like that. So that'll be a real nice shot in the arm for us to get out there and get on the streets pretty quickly. The other officer will need to go to the academy. I believe he's going to go in January, so we'll start with the training as soon as we can get what he needs to start into his training before he goes to the academy. We do have 1 more that we need to hire. However, we have exhausted our last hiring list, so we're in the process of starting that right back up again here in the next couple weeks. So, staffing, it's so much better than it was over the summer. I'm very excited. We currently have 1 officer out on light duty, 2 at the police academy. Obviously, the 2 we just hired, the one that needs to be hired, and then 1 that's going to be on that military assignment until next year. So, but much better than we were the shape that we were in over the summer. So, I sent you some information on a troubled area that we're having, working with city attorney, the prosecutor's office, and some different people to try to get a handle of that. Maybe more information to come for you all. We may need some assistance from you on that issue also. So it should be in the information I sent you all today. Just a couple things. I want to let you guys know we were out and about in the community a lot this month. A lot of interaction with either our local Portage community or the extended Porter County community. Did a walking campaign with the Porter County Substance Abuse Council. Participated in the Portage High School Job Fair. We did a officer meet and greet at local preschools. There were 3 separate events that our officers did there. You can imagine talking to preschoolers. I'm sure they've got some good stories to tell for how that went. So we did the trunk or treat at Portage High School, and at that event we collaborated with Porter County Substance Abuse Council again, and were able to pass out some informational pamphlets along with candy. So it was a good event to be a part of. My understanding is that was really well attended. In fact, I think they were still out there passing out stuff way after the time it ended. So it was a nice event to be a part of. We did a Back the Blue event with the Valparaiso Police Department and the Porter County Sheriff's Department. We participated in the Portage Homecoming Parade. We attended the Portage Homecoming Game. We participated in another event called the Faith in Blue Weekend. We also did the Castle Subaru Pet event, and we did some work with Rittenhouse. So it was a really good month for us to be out in the community. Obviously, as it's getting colder, a lot of those opportunities are going to start to drop, but it's kind of a nice way to start wrapping up the year for some of that community stuff. So, and then the very last thing I have, as you know, I always like to wrap up with a kudos or a way to acknowledge some of our officers. I had sent you all some information a couple weeks ago about a call that we had. We had an armed robbery that we investigated. Give it the shortened version, since I think I gave you the long one before, but in the process, we were able to develop a suspect, learned that individual was also wanted in connection with a couple homicides through Lake County. Our officers set up in the area because we weren't sure where this individual was at, and lo and behold, he came back to his vehicle while we were out there. Our officers gave chase. They were fired upon by this individual. who later we found his gun in the woods. They handled it amazingly well, set up a perimeter, took him into custody. He's now being charged with several homicides, multiple robberies. So I first want to acknowledge the Midnight Crew. They were led that night by Sergeant Wright, who made some really good decisions to get us to the point where we got to. So everybody that worked on the Midnight Crew that night, and then specifically Officers Crook, Toby, and McGraw, Sergeant Maynard, and Corporal Peel, who were in the area when they were basically being shot at. So they did a heck of a job, great display of professional police work. So I just can't say enough about the way they handled that incident. Got a very violent offender off of the streets and out of our community. So thank them for that, and that's all I got, unless you got any questions.
Great job by those guys.
Good job.
And thanks to the volunteer officers that came out to light up the gourds, because we probably had 200 cars in line at one time. It was really busy, and they really kept it smoothed out, so we didn't have any incidents at all. It was great, but we had hundreds of people there, so it was great to have them there.
I'd like to, I'm sorry, Mayor, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'd like to just say thank you to the officers who, everyone, city employees who handled Halloween night. As a deputy prosecutor at the Portage Courthouse, I got to firsthand experience those people who got out of line on Halloween night, and I just want to thank the officers for their professionalism. It could have been much worse, and luckily those people who did misbehave were taken care of accordingly, and what more can we ask for? So thank you again for that.
Thank you, guys. Barb's wrapping up the Marina. All the boaters are gone now.
Finally. Good evening, Madam Mayor, councilpersons. Not too much to report. We're going into our winter season, so our docks have been winterized. That means the water's shut off to the bathrooms and to the docks. Currently, we have about 12 boats that are still in the water. They're waiting for other marinas to pull them out. We're in the process of taking payments for the 2022 season. The $200 deposit is due by December 31st, with payment required in full by March 31st of 2022. Every year we require a new slip application to be filed along with proof of insurance. That is totally mandatory. We've got a couple of projects that we're still working on that I would really like to see come to fruition. One is the Kayak launch site. The other one is the fish cleaning station. I know I talk about this a lot, but we're working with multi-departments, state and federal. And tomorrow at 9:30, I meet with Matt Kaiser from Avonmarsh to discuss both of these projects, and hopefully we can move ahead and see something done. The fall and the winter and the spring projects at the Marina are pretty standard. We repair docks. We're in the process of replacing dock boxes, washroom fixtures that need to be replaced, faucets, broken tiles, just the basic stuff. We're going to be painting the public bathrooms, the floors, etc. The Marina hours will change to Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock, and that again will be weather permitting, because when we get snow, sometimes we can't make it in. The next step at the Marina for winterizing will be putting the bubblers in the water to keep the docks from freezing. And that's about it. That's all I have. Any questions on anything? No? Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Barb. Superintendent Reeder. So I just want to thank Superintendent Reeder, because yesterday we had 450 pumpkins left on the trail. And he helped my daughter and I pick all those pumpkins up and put them in the back of a pickup truck and haul them out to the compost site.
Awesome.
Some we threw up into the woods so that the deer and the squirrel could eat them. But the rest we took out to the compost site because they can be composted. And that was a monumental effort. And I thank you.
I've never chucked so many pumpkins.
So we drove out to the site, and I drove real slow, and my daughter and Randy were flinging pumpkins like this out there. It was quite a sight to see, but we had to figure that one out for next year, because that was a pretty big undertaking, but we didn't want to leave them there because, you know, kids might come along the trail and, you know, smash them, and then it would maybe cause a bicycle 7 accident or something. So thank you, Randy. That was really
You're welcome.
special
Very
of you
well.
to do that.
I sent out a report earlier today, just going to hit some of the, bring a few things to your attention here. The street department will begin its yearly leaf pickup. We've sent out 1 leaf vac throughout some of the neighborhoods, and we're just making it as efficient as we can by making just pre-lists on that. But soon these leaves are going to fall from these trees, and we do have a 1-minute video and the policy on our Facebook page. So if everyone wants to review that, share that. I've seen some of it shared, but I'd like to share that policy with you today. As manager observes the start, usually this happens between October and the ends of December as weather permits. The major leaf drop is unpredictable to the conditions and many other variables involved. When most of those leaves will fall to the ground, it's just unpredictable. We don't know when that's going to happen. Weather permitting, residents will have their leaf piles be placed at the curb, and they'll be picked up anywhere from 3 to 5 times throughout the season. So in case of rain or snow, leaf pickup will be delayed and will resume as weather allows. The city is divided into 4 quadrants. These zones are the same as our trash routes, and it's very important to understand that in the peak of leaf pickup, the department usually takes anywhere from 3 to 5 working days to pick up a quadrant. So we just can't pick up all the leaves on one particular day. So even though we have 4 to 5 leaf vacs running those communities, it does take us quite a while. By the end of the season, we will have picked up anywhere from between 340 to 360 loads of leaves. So the compost site is open right now. If you take a trip up there and just see where all the windrows grow, you can see one vast open asphalt. Looks like a parking lot right now, but by the end of the season, it will be windrows. So with the sanitation, just want to remind all the council that there was a Volkswagen grant that was awarded to the city in the amount of $549,689 for the CNG. The equipment packages will be finalized. There's also an IDEM application that has to be finalized. Once that's all done, that equipment package will be brought before the Board of Works for final approval. Speaking of sanitation, we've been confiscating recycle totes, and we finally had our meeting with Republic Services to audit 2 of our recycling loads, and that did not go well. They did see a considerable improvement in our recycling, but it's still contaminated and it does not meet the industry standards. We're going to continue auditing our recycling routes, so be patient with that. Our employees are dedicated to getting our recycling back on track. It's our job as city's employees and our department's job to make sure that that happens. So we are in efforts right now of working with Republic Services. They're going to meet us once a month at the transfer station to keep auditing these loads. So they did bring it to my attention that it's just not us. It is an issue across the entire region, across the United States. Republic Services is a very large company. They have various MRF stations throughout the United States, and they said, Randy, it's just not Portage, it's just not Northwest Indiana. This is a nationwide issue right now with our recycling programs. So just to bring that up.
Randy, were there
Yes.
specific issues?
I did send pictures to the council at the end of that email.
Right.
As you can see within those pictures that we documented, there's still clothing that is found within the loads, furniture, napkins, ash, styrofoam is another issue that is unrecyclable, and just bottom line is just trash. So they did see improvement in our loads, but it's not to the industry standards. So But I'll keep everyone posted on that and up to speed on it. So.
Maria, do you think maybe you should post something about that report with those examples again on the Facebook page?
Yes, we can.
For folks, and maybe include the list on what is recyclable, just keep hammering it home.
Yeah.
Our residents get it.
So far this month, we've only been 2 days, we've already confiscated 16 totes.
Wow. This
So
doesn't get
yesterday.
better. You have to go back with your fish tank again.
Yeah. So, but I will keep everyone up to speed on it as well.
So what I want to say, in January, our landfill costs were $65,000. But in October, they were $92,800. And that's because we are not getting our recyclables where they need to be, because we are still contaminating the waste stream. We have got to do better because this is costing us a lot of money.
It's adding a significant amount of expense to our landfill costs every month.
Okay, thanks Randy, great job.
Thank you.
Thanks again for being a pumpkin pitcher. Did I miss anybody? If not, we're going to move on to new business, and we have our plan to be introduced by the Budget Committee.
Yes, Debbie, could you please read that?
As part of the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, the City of Portage was awarded $8,350,874.56 in state and local fiscal recovery funds. As required by the Act, the City of Portage presents this plan for the expenditure of the funds. The residents of Portage have a one-time opportunity to make large-scale investments in our community and mitigate the effects of COVID-19. The Common Council, Mayor, and Clerk Treasurer are committed to ensuring these funds are used in an appropriate and legal manner. In consultation with the City Attorney, this plan outlines our intended use for the funds in 4 broad categories. 1. COVID-19 mitigation, economic recovery, and premium pay. 2. Infrastructure and IT improvements. 3. Community development and quality of life. 4. Revenue replacement. These 4 categories comply with the guidelines issued by the U.S. Department of Treasury. The community engagement. The City of Portage believes community engagement is critical to the investments made with the SLFR funds. After the presentation of this initial plan, the City will place a call for additional project ideas and fund uses on the City's website and social media. Additionally, residents are invited to submit suggestions to a new email address, arpfund@portage-in.com. All funding decisions will be made in public meetings of the Common Council, where public input is welcomed and encouraged. All expenditures will require an additional appropriation process and a public hearing. Labor practices. The City of Portage believes in quality of labor and a strong working class. As a community built on the backs of the steel industry, we are committed to ensuring all public projects utilizing SLFR funds are conducted under project labor agreements as required by City Ordinance. It is the policy of the City of Portage to provide for the negotiation of mutually acceptable project labor agreements with local labor unions representing experienced and skilled construction workers covering public construction, alteration, or repair work. Additionally, the City of Portage does require responsible bidding practices to ensure all contractors performing work on behalf of the city are utilizing fair labor practices. The proposed expenditures by funding category. The COVID-19 mitigation, economic recovery, and premium pay, $1,116,958.18. The expenditures are as follows. City employee COVID-19 hazard pay. To provide for pandemic hazard pay to all employees of the City of Portage actively employed on September 7th, 2021. All full-time employees shall receive hazard pay equal to $1,000 gross. All part-time employees shall receive an amount equal to their full-time equivalency, prorated from a maximum of $1,000 gross. Updates to the city policy manuals. For the police department's Lexapro subscription, to update existing rules and regulations and standard operating procedures, including pandemic response. For the City of Portage's Lexapro subscription, to update and maintain the city employee manual and standard operating procedures, including pandemic response. Streaming equipment for city meetings. To purchase equipment to stream public meetings and encourage remote participation by the public to reduce the spread of COVID-19. Non-cash payment options. to purchase credit card point-of-sale tablets for use by the Park Department to collect drink sales at events while limiting the transfers of cash. Personal protection equipment and COVID-19 testing kits to provide adequate protection to employees interacting with COVID-positive individuals, protect the city workforce and the public from exposure, and test employees when required. Grants to nonprofits to assist local nonprofits by issuing grants to cover specific programs or replace lost revenue due to COVID-19. Infrastructure and IT improvements, $2,116,958.20. Those expenditures are as follows. Solar panels on city buildings to encourage the use of green technologies and reduce the cost of electricity for city buildings. Sanitary plat improvements to replace existing clarifier equipment to prevent service disruptions. IT upgrades to city buildings and parks, to place Wi-Fi access points in most city buildings and park properties to increase access to the internet for residents, to purchase new infrastructure to support technology improvements to city systems to provide better service to residents. Compressed natural gas vehicles, to begin transitioning the street and sanitation department vehicles to clean air technologies. And cybersecurity insurance policy, to pay for the City of Portage's cyber insurance policy. This will help protect city assets in the event of a cybersecurity attack. COVID-19 has heightened the risk of these threats due to the increased online presence throughout communities. Community development and quality of life, $5,116,958.18. Those expenditures, Founders Square and Central Avenue Plaza improvements, to improve the safety of Founders Square Park by removing the roadway between Hannah's Hope Playground and the amphitheater, to add a walkable plaza on Central Avenue between the police and fire stations. Skate park, to add a skate park to replace the former skate park at Woodland Park. YMCA community pool project, to invest in a community pool and work to improve the health of all Portage residents in partnership with the Portage Township YMCA. Portage Library Outdoor Learning Center, to create an outdoor learning park in partnership with the Portage Public Library. Woodland Park generator upgrade, to install a new generator at Woodland Park to be used in emergency situations such as natural disasters and when in use as a warming center. Electric vehicle charging stations, to install charging stations for electric vehicles in city parks and high traffic areas. Park benches and sustainable landscaping, to install new high-use park benches in pedestrian areas and replace high-maintenance landscaping with raised low-maintenance landscaping. Portage Marina Kayak Launch, to build a kayak launch to promote water sports on Lake Michigan and our waterways. Portage Marina Fish Cleaning Station, to build a cleaning station for fish at the Portage Marina. Garrison Community Center, to invest in Portage's Garrison neighborhood and restore one of the community's architectural historical locations. Redevelopment of former Little League property, to determine the possible uses for this parcel purchased by the Redevelopment Commission. This is not an exhaustive list of projects. Those projects identified here are subject to change with future updates to this plan. It has been read in its entirety.
I'll make a motion to adopt the plan.
I'll second that motion.
We have motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Quickly, there is a fourth category revenue replacement. Nina, could you explain why we don't have anything currently for revenue replacement?
We have not lost any revenue. There are some departments that have, such as the park with rentals, but they changed how that those calculations, so the entire unit as a whole has to have lost revenue.
And we haven't.
No.
Right. But we could potentially, with income taxes delayed the way they are delayed in what we receive, we could see a loss in revenue in future years. In future plan updates, we may have revenue replacement.
Maybe next year with
right.
income tax. But not yet.
I think we also have to note that this is the entire $8 million that we are awarded. We have not received all of that. We have only received half of that. We will not get the other half until next year, probably around
July of this year.
So in terms of what's next, I think, Nina, you can probably speak to this best, but we'll have to do an additional appropriation process in December to appropriate the funds. They changed the process from when we did this in September after the meeting. They required the plan to be in place, so we have to do an additional appropriation, which requires a public hearing and 10 days notice. So we'll do that at the December meeting to be able to expend funds this year on what we identified in September.
Yep.
And it's important to remember, as we've stated earlier, that this plan is like every other political subdivision in the country. This plan is fluid. As things sort of develop, we get more guidelines, as our needs list, sort of grows and changes, we can always modify this along with that.
Any more questions from council? If not, I'll ask Nina to do a roll call vote, please.
Councilperson Alvarez?
Yes?
Councilperson Pigorski?
Yes.
Councilperson Geisers?
Yes.
Councilperson Williams?
Yes.
Councilperson Gully?
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. That was a lot of work, and we hope that we've stuck with the idea of quality of life for people that live in our city. So let's move on with our projects. We have the introduction of ordinances. The first reading, Ordinance 21-14. You want to explain that, Colin?
Yes, Scott, could you read that for us, please?
Yes. So this is an amendment to the original salary ordinance was presented. So I think I'll ask Clerk Treasurer Rivas to explain the amendments, but I'll go ahead and introduce this amended salary ordinance.
There's only one real change on it. The rest is just, it cleans up. There's been several, because of the different negotiated contracts this year. There's been several amendments to the salary resolution. It makes for a nightmare during a state board audit. So we just wanted to clean it up and have all of the things that had changed in 2021 listed. So this will be the final version of the year.
All right, thank you. So this is salary ordinance budget year 2021, ordinance number 21-14 amendment. An ordinance establishing the amount of salaries and compensation to be paid to all appointed employees and officers of the city of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, for the year 2021. Be it and hereby is ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, as follows. Salary schedule as presented by Sue Lynch, Mayor, to the Common Council of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana. That from the first pay date in January of 2021, that should be 2022, right?
No, this is 2021.
Oh, 2021. To the last pay date in December of 2021. The pay schedule is for the employees and officers of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, be fixed as follows. Elected officials, Mayor, $83,466.23. Clerk Treasurer, $77,404.56. Common Council members, $17,077.50. Let the record reflect this salary amendment at 21-14 has been read in its entirety.
Motion to suspend.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have motion and a second to adopt. Is there any discussion?
Quickly, I just wanted to outline, there are 3 changes that the reason this amendment is coming up. The first is the administrative assistant at the fire department, so this is effective October 31st. There was a request from the department to increase that pay to account for the new ambulance fee billing responsibilities. So for the rest of the year, that'll increase to $1,770.32 biweekly. And then the other 2 changes are effective April 1st. This is at the Marina, so the Port Authority had approved to increase the harbor master and the maintenance director position. We just needed to reflect that in the salary ordinance. So for the harbor master, that's $1,455.46 biweekly, and for the maintenance director, $1,247.54 biweekly. The last change is for crossing guards. There was a request to increase that to $3,100 per school year. So that's effective August 1st for this school year.
It's the same allocations amount, just.
Right.
We have motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Second reading ordinance 21-18 DSP Crossroads.
Yes,
Plan
Ferdinand, can you take
Development.
that, please?
Yes, Mr. President, thank you. Ordinance number 21-18, an ordinance of the City of Portage, Indiana, amending Chapter 90, Article 7 of the City of Portage Municipal Code entitled Zoning Districts and Map, creating a plan development overlay for the below described property pursuant to Article 9. So you said just to read the title. Okay. Let the record show that this is the second reading of this ordinance and the record has been read in its entirety. Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have motion and a second to adopt. Is there any discussion? Todd, do you have anything you'd like to say?
I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Someone second?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I missed it.
Any questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
There you go, Todd.
Thank you very much.
That's good lawyering right there, my friend.
Don't get in the way of progress.
We have ordinance 21-19 OC to Route R2.
Yes, I will take that. Thank you. Ordinance number 21-19, an ordinance of the City of Portage, Indiana, amending Chapter 90, Article 5 of the City of Portage Municipal Code entitled Zoning Map. Let the record reflect this has been read in full as a second reading. Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Easy peasy.
I like to get all the work done ahead of time, so it moves very smoothly here.
It does.
I would like to thank your staff. Mr. Knudsen and Mr. Monroe have been instrumental in both of these projects, and that's why they come here so clean and smooth, I think, is we work very well with them, and it's a pleasure. So again, thank you again.
You're welcome.
Okay. If there are no further questions, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We have ordinance 21-20 amending vacation time.
Yes, Ferdinand, can you take that, please?
Yes, sir. Just one moment. Ordinance number 21-20, an ordinance amending section 62-29 entitled Vacations. Let the record show that this is the second reading of this ordinance and it has been read in its entirety. Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Is there any discussion?
Just for clarity, this will grant a 6-week of vacation to the employees that aren't covered by bargaining contracts. So this will grant that 6-week at 20 years.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Ordinance 21-21, ordinance amending retiree health insurance.
Ordinance 21-21, an ordinance amending the municipal code of the City of Portage regarding insurance. Be it and it is hereby ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Indiana, hereafter the council as follows. Whereas the council desires to amend its municipal code to include a section governing the provision of a reimbursement for insurance costs for retired employees not covered by a bargaining agreement. Section 1, that the Portage Municipal Code shall be amended to include the following. Chapter 62, Section 87, retirement reimbursement for insurance for non-bargaining employees. Subsection A, an employee is considered retired under this section when the employee reaches age 55 and has 20 years of continuous full-time employment with the City of Portage or sanitary stormwater utility, hereafter City of Portage, upon departure from employment with the City of Portage. The employee will not be considered retired under this section if the employee is covered by a collective bargaining agreement with a recognized bargaining unit of the City of Portage at the time of departure, including spouses and dependents of employees covered by a collective bargaining agreement and entitled to retirement insurance reimbursement in a collective bargaining agreement. B, upon approval and at the discretion of the Board of Public Works and Safety, an employee who has had their previous full-time service to the City of Portage bridged shall have all previous full-time employment counted towards the 20-year requirement in subsection A. Subsection C, employees who retire from the City of Portage shall be entitled to a reimbursement for a portion of the cost of a health insurance plan approved by the city, including but not limited to 1, the health insurance marketplace, 2, a plan available through the retired employee's employment. Subsection D, for all retired employees as defined in subsection A of this section, the city of Portage shall reimburse 50% of the net cost of the insurance. The net cost shall mean the cost of the insurance less the subsidy amount which the retired employee is eligible to receive. E, when a retired employee reaches Medicare eligibility, the reimbursement provided in subsection D shall cease immediately. Section F, the reimbursement in subsection D shall only be for the portion of the cost of the retired employee. This reimbursement shall not include any costs associated with a spouse and/or qualified dependent or dependents. Let the record reflect this has been read in full. Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Just add that we amended this from the first reading, correct, to include the bridging?
Correct.
So I just want to let the public know that this amendment was amended to include language to address bridging.
Correct. And there was one other addition from the ordinance committee. There was a concern, it just listed City of Portage, but we have employees that were technically employed by the utility in the past. So there was a concern that their time might not count. So we added City of Portage or sanitary stormwater utility and then referred to that as City of Portage in the rest of the ordinance. So this will cover that time as well.
Very good.
So then, Scott, I have a question for you. So all non-bargaining employees that this pertains to, will they receive some kind of a instructional letter or something letting them know that this is in effect now?
I think this will be well, I know this will be part of the employee manual that Councilwoman Pogorski is working on. This would also be part of their departure information, I imagine the clerk treasurer's office sends when someone notifies us of a departure. Just like our bargaining unit employees are informed of their retirement benefits, this will be part of that as well.
Okay, just want to make sure that they knew about that. Okay, if there are no further discussions, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. We have petitions, remonstrances, and public input. At this time, if the public has any input, please step to the podium, state your name and address, and you have 2 minutes.
Many of you on the council know me. Some of you don't. My name is Linda Rollins. I'm an advocate for pain patients and doctors that are being affected by the addiction crisis. The reason I'm here tonight is last week I was at the Porter County Council meeting. Andy Bozak wants to get involved. The DEA right now is trying to reduce the manufacturing of opioid pain medicine even lower. For those of you who don't know, our hospitals are already running low on morphine and things like that. People that are on vents for COVID need pain medicine. I need somebody here on this committee. I'm trying to pull a group of people together. I want a DEA oversight hearing because pain patients are continuing to suffer and commit suicide, but the addicts are still overdosing at enormous rates. This war on drugs is helping no one. I started working with addicts to try to understand why my life now intersected with theirs. I have CRPS. I have a mother right now that had her child taken away from her. We got her in detox. When she got out of detox, she had nowhere to go. Now she's losing her child because Medicaid wouldn't even help her. We've got a real problem here. And I respect everybody that's affected by the addiction crisis because it's real, it's raw, and it's happening. It's not getting better. But pain patients are suffering too. Our doctors are being raided and arrested and put in jail. We are running a shortage on doctors. I need more people to get involved and help me. I don't even know what to say anymore. I keep coming here. In March, it was a year my best friend committed suicide due to untreated chronic pain. She lived right here in Portage. This is happening all across the country. And we have to do something. We have to say something. This prohibition on drugs is not helping anyone. I'm sure everybody in this room probably knows somebody that's affected by chronic pain. and are being denied their medicine. If the DEA reduces the manufacturing even lower, this is going to be catastrophic. So we have to be better. We have to do something to not just help, we're not even helping addicts, but we're surely not helping pain patients. And we need to be better. We need to do something, and I'm calling on all of you to help me do something.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have you contacted the congressmen and the senators?
A few weeks ago, yes. A few weeks ago, I also called Representative Biggs, and I asked him to get involved. He literally referred me to Chuck Mosley because he said, I'm not interested in any of that. I only care about the lawsuits. Every pain patient that is suffering pay their taxes. If their taxes are late, somebody's going to be getting a hold of them. We got to do something. And every voice, you have a platform here, it can just keep getting louder and louder, and more people have to get involved. Because I'm telling you, we're losing people on a regular basis. The addiction crisis, the overdose deaths, they're not going down. They're going up. Yet pain patients can't even get their medicine. This is wrong. It's wrong in so many ways.
Do you have contact numbers for congressmen and senators, federal?
Yes, I just did a Zoom meeting with Senator Ford. And my next step is to call another meeting with Anthony Ferrero and bring him back to the table. I've had a lot of people make me promises and nobody's following through. And I'm not going away. I'm going to keep doing this.
I think she was asking at the federal level, Congressman Mervan and Senator Braun and Senator...
Well, Tony Ferrero's with Senator
Right.
Braun.
As far as Senator Braun, I'm just going to say this. Unless he's having a luncheon that you got to pay $20 to go to, he don't want to hear from me. He just keeps saying, what does it take to make her go away? This is what it takes to make me go away. Do something for the people that are suffering, and that's what they need to do. And yes, Anthony Ferrero is Mike Braun's right-hand man. So that's my next meeting, is going to be with him. And I'm going to keep bringing people to the table until something is done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the council?
My name is Terry Shearer. I live at 2839 Monier.
And I'm Doug Gibson. I live at 2841 Monier.
Okay, we live on a private, what we have found out to be a private drive, as opposed to a public city street. And the reason we're here is we want to find out how to turn the private drive we live on over to the city, so they could be responsible for drainage, repaving, and so on.
Are you on Monier Court?
Yes. Yes.
So maybe take it one step at a time, I think. At the next Stormwater Management Board meeting, the Stormwater Management Engineer will be coming, because I've asked him to give us an engineering report, at least from the stormwater perspective, as to what some of the issues are and what some of the possible engineering fixes could be. So I anticipate he will be at the next Stormwater Management Board meeting to present that report, and then the Stormwater Management Board.
That's going to be Thursday, correct?
Yeah. So I might start there.
Okay.
And then we can have a bigger conversation about, you know, you're going through the motions to grant a private road to the city, and that's a whole nother issue.
Okay.
I think probably if I were you, I might start with the stormwater management discussion and action for Thursday, and then we can kind of see, because I'm probably going to need some things. If the Stormwater Management Board wants to proceed with, the engineer comes up with a fix and the Stormwater Management Board wants to proceed, I'm going to need to have contact with you folks anyway, because it's going to require some easement grants and things like that for them to go in there and take care of the issues. I think the biggest question of the Stormwater Management Board was they didn't want to fix part of the problem and then later have to come back and, oh my gosh, we could have done this and fixed a bigger part of the problem. So I think that was what the big reveal is going to be from the engineer on Thursday. So I'd recommend coming to that meeting.
Okay. We'll be there. All I want to say is, you know, I've lived in Portage since 1979, and I want to say the police department and fire department have been fabulous. They respond quickly, just outstanding. And for the most part, we've had city services since I've lived there. Mail, they've plowed the street, you know, except when it gets real busy, and I know they got many other streets to take care of. So occasionally with our snow blowers, we take care of a lot of it so that we can get through. But right now, you know, the good services that we do enjoy, like I say, the water issue, the paving is becoming a problem. My wife is not as mobile as she used to be, and I just moved my picture. I had some pictures on my phone, which I still got. I got to pull them up again. But in the wintertime, especially, right in front of my drive, I have water that almost goes all the way to the other side of the street and goes a quarter of the way up into my drive. Now, that's an issue whenever you have to go out and get mail. In the wintertime, you know, it gets pretty slick out there because that water doesn't dissipate. It just sits there and freezes. So my concrete is, to a certain portion is destroyed. The street itself is really deteriorating from, well, almost from one end to the other. And
there is no drainage system.
Yeah, and well, there was many years ago. They when the sewer system wasn't as critical as it is now, they used to have a vented cap on there, so all the water would run down and drain into the city sewer. But since they capped that water has nowhere to go. So myself and our neighbors, we do get a lot of water, and unfortunately, I got the low spot in front of my house, and some of my neighbors' yards are low, so they can get up to 4 to 6 inches of water, depending on the rain we get. So it's becoming, as the years go by and we're getting, the weather change seems to be getting to the worst, we're getting quite a problem to deal with. And like I say, especially in the wintertime, when there's no way I'm going to let my wife go out there and try to walk that. You know, it's too dangerous for her. And
yeah, I would bring those to the Thursday. I've been out there. I've looked at it. I've walked it after it rains. So I get it.
Yeah, I got some good pictures.
Yeah, I imagine.
Some of the water. You can't put a boat in it, but you do need some waders.
Yeah, I understand.
So, you know, we're asking for your help, you know, and Dan, you brought out some good points. There's been some discussions. We just love to see some work getting done here. And whatever we have to do for our part to, you know, if you need an easement or need our permission, you know.
Yeah, I'll draw some things.
Hey, we're good with it.
It's a given.
You know, take it. You know, it's yours. You know, just let us know what the conditions are on our part then, you know, if there is any. I don't know if there is any, but we're so willing to work with you guys and help. Because, you know, we're right in the middle of Portage. That's pretty well prime property. You know, we're in the middle of schools by us, fire department, post office, just a little bit of everything is right there. So, you know, if you can help us keep our property up, which we're doing our part, that's all we're doing. We're asking for help.
So did you build your house there, or was it there?
Well, I had a hand in building it, yes. That was built in 79, 78.
So did they tell you then that that's a private road?
It was mentioned, but not very heavily. It just and I didn't really realize that until I did some research on the property not too long ago. And I
Because I'll be honest, when we started talking about it, I had no idea that we have a few places like that in the city.
I guess there's 3 of them.
Right.
Yeah.
From what I understand.
On this right here, it mentions that to be maintained by the city of Portage. Right there.
So.
If you'd like to see that.
No, I've seen it, and you've seen it too, Mayor.
You
So-
might have already seen it. Dan.
Yeah, I have, and the mayor's seen it too. So what I do when I see those sorts of things is I go out to the county and do a little archival research, and they're doing that for me, because I want to see what was on the original platted subdivision.
Yeah.
So I was working on, so I've seen that, and that
Yeah,
helps.
so that's why we're asking for that,
Understood.
you know, and I don't know, maybe if I would have paid a little bit more attention, maybe I would have picked a different spot in Portage to live. I don't know, but I'm very happy with where I live, actually. It's a very nice part of town.
Well, come to the Stormwater Board, we're there next Thursday.
Yes.
Sanitary is
Yes,
at 3 and Storm is at 4.
Yes, okay. We are where
So
we
you
will
might
be
check
there.
first, because sometimes we meet at City Hall, but usually we meet here in the
Yeah.
Woodland Park.
Yes.
Is
Same
it-
place, except at 4 o'clock.
This Thursday?
Yes.
This Thursday here.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay.
Hello, my name is Sheila Osika, and you need my address. This is about 5544 Stone Avenue. I contacted Debbie about this problem and other people. I have a major problem with the sewer at that property. My daughter lives there, it's my house. At the easement of the property, it stopped flowing, you know, the sewer. And, well, I guess I'm going to start back. 2 years ago, there was a very large sinkhole in the easement part by the street. I called the street department and told them about it. Somebody, now I've called the street department, sanitary sewer department, and American Water to find out who filled that sinkhole. Nobody did. It's filled, but nobody will admit to filling it. Why not? Because it broke my sewer at that point. I have spent almost $15,000 and the sewer still does not work. My daughter can only flush the toilet once a day. She cannot do dishes or wash her clothes. And I've got another, and I was told by, or Debbie sent me a message saying that God, basically there's nothing anybody can do, you know, the sanitary sewer department can't do anything about it. The plumbers I've got now, they're just to go from the sidewalk to where the easement ends, they're going to charge me $6,000. And hopefully, you know, that's where the break is, or, you know, where the, sinkhole was. Dan from the sanitary sewer department told me last year when this started that there's sinkholes everywhere in Portage. They have this problem all the time. And if that's the case, he's telling me that there's a problem with the sewer lines, because that is what caused my problem, was my sewer line was leaking and it, you know, eroded the area, and that caused the sinkhole, and that's what damaged my sewer line. except for when I looked at that sinkhole, I could see everything very clearly. I could see under the sidewalk, I could see under the road. And the thing is that they're saying it's my problem. And what I want to know is, why is it my problem if whoever filled that hole, all right, caused the weight of what they had to put in there, right, broke that sewer line? How is it my problem? And why is it nobody can tell me who filled this? Because when a sinkhole is filled, they're supposed to take concrete, and they're not supposed to use a lot of sand, but that's all these plumbers are pulling out is sand and gravel, right, and clay to fill this. Now, if they're dumping this from a truck, it only makes common sense that damage is going to be caused to a PVC pipe. But people are thinking I'm, a stupid person. I'm not. And, how did they know it was my pipe that caused that erosion when people from down the street, their lines are coming this way? Who's to say one of their lines aren't leaking that caused a sinkhole? Plus at 5801, right after that, there was another sinkhole. Right? What caused that? They're not having a sewer problem, but yet they have sinkhole. A sinkhole that somebody just happened to come by and fill. All right, and they are telling me now that if they have to tear that street up, I am going to be paying almost $35,000 now. All right, I already put out, I'd say about $15,000. I don't have $35,000 to have this taken care of when I didn't do it. I could see if the city had come and looked at, but they didn't, because they could, since they didn't fill the hole, nobody from the city could have seen what damage had been done or whatever. But the thing is that how can they say that, tell me that my sewer caused that sinkhole?
So if I can ask, is it your lateral line to your house where the sinkhole was, or was it in the street where the sanitary line?
It was at the easement between the sidewalk and the street.
So the pipe runs down the middle of the street, right? I'm assuming that's where the pipe is.
Pardon me?
The sanitary pipe runs down the middle of the street, I'm assuming?
Right.
And the sinkhole was under your sidewalk, where your lateral goes into your house?
Well, it was by the, east, all right, say this is your, street.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have your grass.
Sure.
Then you have your sidewalk.
Sure.
It was about a 3-4 foot sinkhole there in between, but it went under, you could see under the street. I could see the ground underneath the street. I could see underneath my sidewalk.
Sure.
All right, but.
So what I'm getting to, the sinkhole was on the lateral line, not the sanitary sewer line in the street.
Right.
Okay.
Well, you know what, no, the sinkhole was not there. The sewer line, or this, going down the middle of the street, that's not where it was.
It was on your lateral to your house.
Well, the only thing is that, why could I see all the way into
So someone
the street?
probably needs to go out there and look at this thing. We can talk
Yeah.
all night about this, but I mean, the fact of the matter is, there's people that work for the city that can give us their opinion.
Right.
I'm sitting here thinking that maybe, yeah, you can talk to the council and it's fine. We like to hear our citizens' problems. But I think that the stormwater board is the place you
And
need
the
to go.
sanitary board, right,
because
yep.
The
On Thursday.
sanitary lines is.
Well, my question, I guess, tonight is, why is it nobody can tell me who filled this?
Well, if we didn't fill it, then, I mean, we don't know who filled it. If we didn't fill it, we don't know who.
I called the street department.
Right.
Who did they call to fill it?
Well, and I'm not necessarily sure the street department is the one. This is a storm and sanitary issue.
When was this? How long ago was this?
When was this?
This was in September of 2019, the sinkhole.
How long after you saw the sinkhole was it filled? Days, weeks, months?
The next day.
So you noticed the sinkhole in September of 19. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Well, like I said, my daughter and grandkids live in the house. My daughter called me and said, Mom, there's a big hole in the by the easement. And I came, looked at it, and called. I said, well, I guess I called the street department. And that's who I called. They said, okay, nobody. The next day it's filled. But by who?
You didn't notice any truck out there, anybody, people, because that's not going to happen
Well, my
in 2 or
daughter
3
and
minutes.
they,
It's going to take some time to fill a sinkhole.
Right, the only thing is she leaves for work at 6, she works as a bus driver. My grandkid, they go to school. So nobody was at home when this was done. But my daughter said that when she got back at 10 o'clock that morning, it was filled. But we don't know by who.
Well, I think we need to go to the stormwater and sanitary boards and talk.
Well,
to them.
yeah, but Debbie did ask them.
I talked to
Dan
Dan Commenda, and I talked to Randy, because she had said that she had talked to both of them, and they both, although they have records of you calling, they did, according to them, neither department sent anybody out to fill that. So I simply reiterated what I could find out for you.
And when I went to the other house that had a sinkhole, the lady works days. She didn't know he did her work either.
Well, I think at this point, Madam Mayor, you're right. The right course of action is storm or sanitary boards. There's really nothing this council can do.
Right.
You're just making us aware of it. I understand that.
Well, my only thing is.
And we can't answer that question too.
Have they taken a camera out and looked at the lines?
Pardon me?
Have they taken a camera out to look at the lines?
The sewer department did take a camera and go through the manhole and look at it. They said that they didn't see anything, but didn't take pictures. And the plumbers, because there was another problem. I had talked to somebody in the sanitary sewer department named Nicole. And she told me that, they don't take pictures, but Dan told me they would. But there's none, and the plumbers that I had at that time wanted to see the pictures, but nobody took any. But
I would recommend, like Sue said, reaching out.
But if Debbie already asked the sewer department who they would have called or whatever.
But if you can go, if like they're suggesting to go to the sanitary board, that's just one extra.
No. But I mean,
you can certainly try that.
Somebody from, if you couldn't get an answer.
I mean, we, the city council, we don't
Right, no,
oversee
I'm
the
just
utility.
saying.
Right.
She
The
knows.
sanitary board is the board that oversees all the utility, the sanitary lines. I mean, they're gonna be the board that's gonna have to help solve this issue. I mean, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, lateral lines are the responsibility of homeowners, correct?
Only if, and I've read the laws on this.
Well, that's good, so have I. So what I think we should do here is we should cut this off.
Yes.
I really think this is, the council can't, you've made your point. Let me look into it. I represent one of those two boards. Let me check into it. We'll check with the sanitary. We'll see if there's anything at all in there that they have.
And they
If not,
meet on Thursday,
they meet
right?
on Thursday. And if there's, and if they didn't do it, they didn't do it. And the city council doesn't oversee those sorts of things, so there's not much they can do other than take your information and ask someone like me to follow up on it, which I'm volunteering to do.
Oh, so you will look into it?
I will look at it. I will see if any of these boards have any knowledge whatsoever. It just may not be a city thing, and frankly, you're talking about a prior administration, so I'm not even sure.
Well, it's just, all right, if the
That's it.
city...
I don't want to go any further, because let me...
Well, I have to say this, is that if the city, has a, you call the street department and you tell them somebody had to pay somebody to fill those holes.
So let me, like I said, let me look into it.
Give him a
I get what
chance to
you're
look
saying.
into it.
I get
Okay.
what you're saying. And I think I'm in a good position to do a little digging in the well, pardon the pun, and we can see what we can come up with. Maybe the answer is we just don't know. But let me find out. Let me do a little more due diligence.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Best wishes.
Are there any other matters to come before this board, or anyone else who wishes to speak?
Go ahead.
I live in Squirrel Creek, 6959 Medora Avenue in Portage. It's a subdivision right off McCool. I don't know if everybody knows it, but everybody's petrified right now because animal control gave the pit bull mastiff dog back to the owner, and this dog actually killed my 5-pound Yorkie.
Oh, man.
And all the neighbors are afraid to walk.
What's your address, please?
Literally afraid to walk.
Could I have your name and address, please?
Judy Littrell, Littrell, 6959 Medora, Medora Avenue.
Thank you.
And,
I didn't get your first name. It's too
Judy.
fast. Need to say it slowly.
Judy.
I'm old.
Judy.
What is it?
Judy
Judy.
Littrell, Littrell. Yeah, I was just walking around my block like the end of last month, and I was attacked.
So what happened now? The pit bull was taken into custody by animal control and then released back to the owner?
Yes, and it just killed right.
Okay. I'll check into this. You live in my district.
It was just really
Scott,
hard to see.
it's actually my district.
Is it? Oh, that's at Squirrel Creek.
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
Well, I'm gonna check into it anyway.
I think the lady.
Yeah.
I think the lady.
Ma'am.
Scott is a man for all districts.
Assistant Chief Uzelak is going to hand you his card. He oversees animal control. So this is the man you're going to need to speak to.
I think the lady moved, praise God, but I'm just worried for. There's 5 or 6 other pit bulls in that neighborhood. I'm finding out. I don't see them, but it just like this whole area is becoming wild animal infested. I'm sorry. When people can't even walk on the trails without mace or guns or something, what is happening? I don't know. It's just very sad. I'm just so afraid a child is going to be attacked or another dog. I had a beautiful 5-pound Yorkie, and now she's gone.
I'm sorry
Deputy
about your
Chief.
dog, ma'am. I really am, but
Yeah.
I do have a part pit bull myself, and he's a wonderful dog. So, I mean, all dogs have to have good owners that train them.
Yes.
The dogs are bad because the owners don't train them and make them behave and keep in their own territory.
Well, I don't know if there's anything you can do, but one of my thoughts was if you're walking around your subdivision, if there was a flag or something that they had a bigger dog that bites lives there, or like, not necessarily a pit bull, but just any kind of animal that could possibly be out of control, because I used to pull my grandbaby around the block all the time there, and now I can't even take my grandbaby around the block anymore without fear. And like I said, the neighbors won't walk anymore. A lot of them had sticks and guns, and it's just like the wild, wild west right now. But I don't know.
That man who gave you his card will take.
I don't know if there's anything
We'll
you can
address
do.
it.
I'm just trying to make Portage safer.
Understandable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Best wishes.
Is there any other business to come before the council? If not, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.